Hey guys, welcome back to 9 to 5 Gamers, and today we're doing a review of Orleans. And Orleans is a bag building worker placement game that takes place in medieval France. It's kind of, when you look at it, you're not too sure what to expect from it, but man, what a game. And so me and my friends got to play it, the four of us, and so we did a 4-person review. Now I just want to put out a little bit of a disclaimer that this review got cut short because the battery died on my laptop, and so half of it did not get stored. Luckily, we were able to recover the rest of the review, but right where it cuts off, I'm going to come back in afterwards like this, and I'm just going to finish off the review. So let's talk about Orleans. Does it live up to the hype? Let's check it out. I'll see you guys in a few minutes. Hey guys, welcome back to 9 to 5 Gamers, and today we're doing a review of Orleans, which is a really, really fun game, but before we go too far, you guys already know Marinid, my wife, or you like to call her Mrs. 9 to 5. And then over here on this side, we've got Allison. She's been on the channel before. And Jacob, this is your first time on the channel.
Hello. Yes, this is my first appearance.
How does it feel?
The first of many. It feels great.
It's good. It's good.
It's good.
And he's going to be doing his own little top 10 soon. And that is it for our introductions. But let's talk about the game. And this is kind of like our first time playing the game. So I guess with more games, we'll get a better idea of what we actually feel about the game. But based off of our first impressions, we're going to go ahead and just rank it and score it. But we're going to talk about all the different things that I always go through when it comes to reviews. So the first thing is the setup and storage. Typically games like this, these are kind of like some of the older games. And in older games, they just kind of throw everything in the box. Like there's not really in the newer games, they have these super cool trays and stuff. So can't really judge it for that. It is an older game, so it won a lot of awards, and honestly, you can kind of feel it as you play why it's an award-winning game. But storage is okay. They just throw everything in the box. They gave you a bunch of bags, so that's fine. As far as the setup takes a little while. Which, when I was setting this up last night, it took me a little while. It's not the worst thing I've ever had to set up. But placing all of these little individual chips, and then the thing that was tough is that we didn't even really use that often in the game. So because of that, it's like you set all that up for nothing. But the setup has a lot of bits everywhere, but it wasn't too bad, and I recommend having everybody set their own stuff up at the beginning. So it's like, hey guys, everybody put one of your dots here, one of your little tokens here, and it should make things a little smoother. So I usually give 2 points for each category. So for this one, I'll give it a 1 out of 2 because I feel like it's decent. Now the next category was learning the game and teaching the game. Teaching the game for me didn't feel so bad. I felt like I boiled it down to pretty easy. How did you guys feel about learning?
I feel like it was on the easier end of most games because most of the time, you know me, I tend to kind of glaze my eyes, and I'm I start looking or I start playing with stuff. So I feel like I didn't do that as much as I usually do. So I feel like it was pretty easy.
Okay, how about you guys?
I feel like the fact that it was relatable to quacks made it easier for me to understand the concept of the game regarding the chips,
and
the bag,
the bag building,
And I was like, okay, I get an idea now. As far as scoring goes or things like that, I was like, I'm lost. I got lost.
Yeah, and you don't
just a little bit.
You don't like the numbers thing, so you're just kind of hey, score for me. You guys let me know how I did. So, how about you?
Well, for me, I'm more of the kind of guy that I just learn as I play. So I'm kind of the same as Mara. When Jeremy starts explaining, it's not that he explains bad, but I kind of just wander off. But for this game, I actually feel like I didn't need to learn while I play. I felt like the instructions at the beginning were simple enough where I asked. I feel like this is one of the games, first time playing, where I asked the least amount of questions while playing.
That's
right, yeah.
While playing, I kind of the only thing I asked was hey, are these wilds for the town hall thing? And you were just nope. And I was like, okay. And I think that's the one question that I asked.
Yeah.
I didn't really ask anything else. At the beginning, it was just super simple, and I was like, I get it. After the first round, it was super simple.
I didn't ask many questions.
I think the base instructions of the game, explaining how the rounds work, if you can just explain that, you're good. And then just explain as you go. It's hey, I'm going to explain this little chip thing here. This is by the way, this is the what are they called? The player aids. It came with 2 of them. They're very, very tiny, but it functions, right? It did what it needed to do. So learn and teach. I think that although the game can seem very complicated, it's actually not that bad. And so for that, I'd give it like 1.5. Just because learning the game was a little tough. I had to watch like 2 videos, including reading the instruction booklet just to get there. But once I understood all of the important little details, and there's like a lot of little things too. For example, where it's like a monk is the yellow chip, and it could be any chip. It's wild. It counts as anything. Except over here on this one, it has to be on the yellow, which is easy to understand, but there's a lot of little buts. You know what I mean? Right. You're allowed to do this, but not when this happens. And it's like you have to fill in all of the spaces on your player board, except for Town Hall. Town Hall, that's an exception and stuff. So there's a lot of little things like that, just minor things, but it's a solid game. So I would give it a 1.5 for that. And then for the gameplay, for the artwork and the components.
Oh, yeah.
What do you guys think? Mata, you're the art lady.
Oh, well, I actually really liked it. I like that. I always like the wooden parts.
The components,
because I feel like it's such a better quality versus like the stand-ins. You know how they have the little plastic stuff? I don't like that. But this, I like that they had this, and so it feels like it's more durable. But the art, I do really, really like. I like that everything's color-coded. Yeah. I think it would have been nice, though, if, like, for the different colors, they had different symbols for them. Because I feel like then that can help, like, differentiate. If you're not looking at, like, just colors, but, like, you can be like, well, these all have different symbols, and you're like, okay, I can remember that this symbol is for this.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing.
I feel like there was a lot of, they made a lot of strides in fixing that, because there's a lot of people who have like colorblind, and with the colorblind, it's kind of like, there's certain colors I can't tell apart, but I can tell symbols apart.
Exactly.
And so as long as there's symbols, it helps with things like that. So I get what you're saying. Yeah, that would be helpful, I think, as well. What about you guys? Anything component-wise?
I enjoyed the color, also how colorful the game itself is. It, like the primary colors, you can never really go wrong with them.
Yeah.
And the little people, I really enjoy these. And I like the wooden components also.
Me too.
Because it just makes it more, I don't know, like almost cozy in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, I like the art style. I think when games that are of this style, it makes sense to kind of go this route with the artwork. Because I feel like depending on the kind of game you're playing, it depends on how much detail they'll put into the artwork, so it fits the game style. It's super simple. Even being an older game, I feel like the newer games that you have that are similar to this style still copy this kind of artwork. It's just simple. It's
solid,
easy, and it doesn't like. If they were to put too much detail into this, I'd feel like the kind of game that it is would like throw me off. I'd be like, it would super complex.
It would feel really busy.
It would feel really busy.
So it's super simple. It's easy. It's nothing crazy. But it fits the vibe of the game. So.
And people call these dry tan euros, like, because games like this, I have actually a couple of them that they're these very beige games. Like if you look at the box cover, it's like it's super beige, like super tan.
Tones.
Everything is tan, but there are like little splashes of color that do make it really nice as far as the artwork is concerned. Component wise, I always worry about cardboard components, just because even this, if you can't see it on here and I'm not going to show it on camera, but some of this is already starting to peel on the edges, and that can happen a lot with...
And this was our first playthrough?
Yeah, and this is our first playthrough.
Wow.
And now, the reason why... Normally that's not a big deal, but the reason it's a big deal in this game is because you're using these a lot. These chips, you're constantly throwing them into your bag, taking them out of your bag, going back in, shuffling them around in the bag, and pulling them back out. So with that, I think wear and tear will eventually get to it. Yeah. But I do know that they sell upgrades for this where you can get plastic tokens. And so I feel like with a plastic upgrade, these tokens would be
better.
Yeah. And honestly, these two, the tokens here remind me of the iron clays. Iron clays are like a top tier. They're like poker chips, but they're made for board games that Roxley makes, and those they have almost look identical to those. That. So I think that would be another solid upgrade for this game, is getting those poker chips for the money. So it's like a 20 chip I can grab, and then you could just stack your chips and play with them, and they have that clay clacking sound that the poker chips have. So.
Yeah, those are nice.
But artwork components, I think everything is solid. I don't think it's like above and beyond. Right. So like as far as giving it like a perfect score of 2, I don't think so. I would probably give it somewhere between a 1 and a 1.5, just because it's old and ugly, but it's still
old and
pretty.
Ugly.
It could be considered old and ugly for some. Yeah, I think it's pretty dope. Yeah. So I don't think this is gonna attract everybody. I think if you had this set up, people would like. If somebody came over the house right now and they saw this set up, they'd be like,
yeah.
This is kind of, I don't know if I'm interested in this. Yeah. It's not attractive.
That's funny. No.
Whereas some other games are. It's not the most attractive
you can tell, like, if somebody were to come in and look at this setup, they'd be like, wow, you guys are playing an old game.
Yeah.
Like, it looks very,
looks
like,
dated.
Yeah, like, versus, like, Splendid
Veil or, like, Beast.
Man, the color and the artwork on that, you'd be like, wow, what are you guys playing? Table presence is a lot with board games. And it determines if somebody wants to play it. It's kind of like the box cover art on, like, video games when you would go to the store and buy a video game.
Or like
they
when you're buying
really
a
nice
book.
artwork, or on a book, right?
Yeah.
You can't judge a book by its cover. It's true with this game, right? Because if you were to look at this, you'd say, "Oh, no, I'm good." But this is a great game. Spoiler alert. But anyways, that's it for that. Let's talk about gameplay and mechanics. How do you feel the gameplay was? So for me, to start off, I'm used to Euro games. And Euro games, what they typically are is you have a worker and you place it on the action you want to take. With Lords of Waterdeep, which we played, you guys haven't played that yet, but we'll eventually get a copy of it and play it possibly. I don't even know if we would buy that game because I think it's like okay for us. But in that game, there's like a board just like this, but all of it is a bunch of spaces. And so it's like, what do I want to do this turn? I'm going to go here. And then somebody would say, oh, dang, you took my spot. Now I can't take that. And so those are worker placement games. And so this game is somewhat like that, but instead you're putting the chips on your own board so you can never block somebody off from an action, which I love that mechanically. I love that I'm building my chips in my bag. I am buying chips, getting chips, putting them into my bag, and then when I draw new ones, whatever I draw is based off of what I've taken. So I could never get mad at somebody and say, oh, this person took my action. Although there is a little bit of that in the town hall. That happened to me a few times where you would swoop in and place your worker and said, oh, I'm taking this. And I'm like, I needed that. I was going to do that. But that's good because some people like that. But it only has a small amount of that. What did you guys think about like the bag building and everything?
I personally liked it. I know when I first saw the game, I felt a little daunted because I was like, there's so much going on.
Absolutely.
I was like, oh my goodness, how am I going to even do anything? But as I got like through the rounds, I was like, oh, okay, no, I got this. So I feel like it was pretty easy once we got the ball rolling.
Yeah.
You want to...
No, you agree.
Well, all I was gonna say was that I like the gameplay, the way that it worked, especially when it came to moving. The only time that you would find someone stealing your spot is if they built a guild in a place you were planning to go.
That too, yeah.
That would be the only time where you'd be like, dang, you took my spot because we were right next to each other and you moved to the corner I was going for. Other than that, the other cool thing I liked was when you would pick up these cards.
What are these called? The locations or something?
Yeah.
And you wouldn't pick them at random. You actually got to sift through them and pick which one.
And I like that.
Which at the end of the game saved me. Because I found a card that was able to help me.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Because I was all the way
I forgot about mine.
I was all the way up the track and I was allowed to look through it, and I got this one that gave me all those coins because I was all the way up the track, so I got the highest multiple.
How many coins did you get?
I got 6.
You got 6, and how much did you win by? You won by 4 points.
I beat you guys
by
by 4 points.
That literally changed the game.
So for me, I really enjoyed that because if I had to just choose at random, I would have lost.
Yeah.
Right.
But seeing like the route that I took for the game, that I was moving up this track, and I wanted to get all the way to the end, and then seeing this card, I was like, oh snap, I think I could win if I pull this off, which I was able to do. So I think that's something very unique because I think most games like that, you pick at random. So it's like whatever, you get the top one, and then if I got a card that I would never even be able to use.
Right. But we're gonna take a pause for a quick
Yeah, because the dog goes. But I wanted to add to what you were saying, because I really, really liked these little things, because they saved me from like plagues and from what do you call it? From
from the events.
From the events.
So I think that's the other cool thing about the game as well, is that the events are the events random, or do you?
They're random.
Do you know what events? Like when you place them,
you shuffle them.
You shuffle them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what I like about it is, like, you never know which one's gonna come next. So you have you can't strategize until they come out.
Yep.
So you could be like planning something, and then all of a sudden the one token that you have of a specific person gets taken out by a plague. So now you're like, freak, now I can't, what I was building up to, I can't do now.
Right.
So I like that. It's like, it can be risky, but it happens at the end of the turn, like at the end of the round.
And that's good.
So it allows you to say, hey, okay, so I'm going to strategize around this, because I know at the end I'm going to have to do this. So I like that as well. I think it made the game really more enjoyable.
Part.
How about you? So for the gameplay, I feel like I got a little bit lost in the sauce. I didn't collect as many points as I would have liked to, but it's because I found myself like doing the same thing. I felt like but this is just a personal thing of mine, like if I would have like tried going through the town hall or tried these a little more, I felt like I would have gotten even more lost. So I just kind of took it like step by step, and I was like, you know what, let me just do this first, but it did cost me last place.
Yeah. It was good too. Like, I like everything about the game. Like, I love
like the game, yes.
I love the events. I think that was a really cool way to kind of like give people a boost when they need it, because some of them are positive events, and then some of them are negative, and then sometimes it's like, oh snap,
differentiated.
Yeah, like I have to give up 3 food items. If I don't, I have to pay with coins, and if I can't pay with coins, I get subjected to torture, and torture sucks. Like, it's super bad. Like, it just literally has a list of things that it's like, if you can't pay with coins and you don't have enough coins to pay for the taxes or whatever it is you're doing, first you're gonna lose these, then you'll lose this, then you'll lose this, and it's bad. None of us
got tortured.
Fortunately never went through torture, so that was good. So but yeah, I like that mechanic, and I like the wild monks that can kind of do anything. Wow, it's storming like crazy out here, so I don't know if that's going to come out in the mic, but it is definitely thundering like crazy.
Jeez.
But yeah, so
I had another question.
Yes.
I know that for some games there's like a beginner, and then there's like a more advanced one. Does this game have that, or is it just this?
No, it's just this.
Okay.
Yeah. There's no advanced mode. There are expansions to it that add some stuff to make the game expand a little bit and add some extra things. But yeah, and I like this board too.
Yeah.
I felt like this board was great because you can min max like throughout the whole game. Because you remember how like the bag building games where you're buying chips and putting them into your bag and then shuffling them around. It's very similar to deck building games where you buy cards, add them to your deck, shuffle up, and then you got a new deck with new cards in it.
Right.
It kind of works that same way. In all of those games, one of the necessary components you need is a culling option, which is the option to get rid of cards from your deck, because sometimes your deck just gets so full of cards that I can't do anything. Yeah. I love that this exists because this is that culling mechanic.
I should have used that a little more.
I think so, yeah.
Stuck with like farmers.
On your board, you have them right now, yeah.
And I'm like, bro, I can't. It's not giving me enough room to do anything.
So when you buy these chips, it's kind of like, dang, I have like 5 white chips in my thing, and I can't even use all 5 of them on my turn. And if you draw into that, it could be devastating for your turn. So having the option to throw them into the town hall to solve some like town issues, you gain coins, you gain benefits, and it was solid, man. I really liked that part of the game. Yeah. As you can tell, because I pretty much loaded that thing up.
I utilized that a little more. But what's cool about this game is that even though I didn't take that route, it's replayable. Like if I were to play this game again, it won't be the same experience.
Right, exactly.
The other thing I was going to say that I like about this is that I know that they can't see it, but you have to fill these up with the specific color of the token, and even if you don't fill it up all the way, you still get rewarded. So
Yeah.
the person who ends up completing this gets the little citizen that gives them a lot of bonuses at the end. But even if I don't do it, what I was I knew that I was never going to be able to fill one of these up. So I was like, I'm just going to try and get the most coins I can out of each of them, which I was allowed to do. And then Jeremy would sweep in at the end and take the citizen. But I was fine with that, knowing that I was still getting 2 coins, 3 coins for every person I put down.
Yeah.
So
That was good.
that was helpful as well.
And I think mechanically, there's a lot to be said about the game. There's this side of the board where you can travel from place to place, and when you do, you get to take these tiles, which have cascading like bonuses. So it's like the wheat is only worth 1 point, but if you got I forgot what this is called. Brocade. These are worth 5 points each. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that part of the review. So we were talking a little bit about the gameplay and the mechanics, and there's a lot mechanically to this game, as you could tell. There's a lot of things that we could talk about, but I think we're good there. And I think during the interview, we had discussed that gameplay mechanics were a solid 2 for all of us. Like, that was probably the thing that shined the best, that the mechanics were super, super good. It was very thinky. There's a lot of felt like meaningful decisions, didn't feel too fatalistic where it's just kind of like, well, I know what I have to do and I have no options. No, it's like you got to do a little bit of everything. You can't just build in one specific area, but doing that will help you do good in all the other areas. So it was really good. I enjoyed the game a lot, and so did my friend group. As far as the gameplay and mechanics go, we gave it a solid 2. And then for the fun factor, replayability, and the theme is, medieval New Orleans, right? Like it's medieval France. It's called Orleans. I didn't say medieval New Orleans. Medieval France. And so in Orleans, its theme is okay, right? But the rest of the game is really, really fun. That was the thing, is like, for what it looks like, it is actually a very fun game. And the replayability we found to be very, very good, because you've got a lot of different avenues that you can kind of build towards. You got to get a little bit of everything, but for me, I was just buying boatmen, and it's because I had a little town tile, which I think a lot of the replayability comes from those little tiles of the different I think there are locations or something like that, but you could build different locations, and one of the locations I had allowed for my boatmen to be any chip color that I wanted them to be. So the blue chips could be white, brown, or black. So that was really cool because it offered a lot of versatility. And so I started going down that track, and nobody else went down that track. And on that track, there's a ton of coins, and everything in the game is worth points, which I thought was a really cool concept, is that everything gets you points. But one thing that I did love about that was that everybody kind of went their own direction, yet we all ended up in a very similar place score-wise, and I think some people were able to build a little better towards the end and ended up with Jacob winning the game, but it was really fun. This game is very fun. I know sometimes it may not look like it from the exterior, but this is a very fun game. Believe the hype when people say this is a great game. It really is. I think the Board Game Geek scores reflect that at an 8. I think it's like an 8.1 right now. It's a solid game. Very fun. Theme is okay, but the replayability is great because of the different town tiles and how you can build your little city. And it's just really, really cool, man. I really enjoyed this game, and I would have to give it a solid, I think we gave it maybe a 1.5 for replayability, fun factor, theme. So we had a 1, 2 1.5s, which was a 4. A 3 with a 1 is a 4. 4 plus, that is 7, plus a 1.5 at the end. It's like an 8, 8.5. And so that's where we're sitting at this game, is somewhere between an 8 and an 8.5. I think when everybody initially scored the game, their rankings were a solid 8 from everybody. So I think that's more or less where we're at, is that everything is at an 8.5. Everybody felt that way about it. I felt that way about it, and I just think it's a great game. I think it's a solid 8, and I really love it, and it's obviously staying in my collection, and I can't wait to get the expansions, because that adds a little bit more replayability to it, which will probably bring up the score of this game significantly, most likely to an 8.5, 9, range. So Orleans, really good game. If you can get your hands on a copy of it pretty cheap, then go for it. If you can only find it at retail value, still a very good, you get a lot of bang for your buck in this game. It's a very good game. So with that said, thank you guys for tuning into this board game review. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and check out the memberships. As low as $3 is going to get you early access to videos as well as some exclusive content for everybody who goes beyond that point. So love you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Catch you on the flippity flip. Y'all already know the dealio. See you guys out. Signing out and all that other stuff. Peace.
That's okay. Ooh. That works.
So, and Jacob, this is the first time on the video. You know what? Let's just start over again because I feel like that was a bad take. All right.
All right. Do we need to We need to. Because I feel like you stuttered a lot. Or you kind of like.
I started at the beginning. I was like, 3, 2, 1.